The red wine hit the white dress like a gunshot wound. It started at the shoulder. It dripped down the cheap satin. It soaked into the fabric that Maya had spent 3 months sewing by hand. The music didn't stop. The chatter didn't fade, but the laughter started instantly. It came from the woman standing in front of her. Mrs. Sterling. She held an empty glass. Her lips were curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She didn't apologize. She didn't offer a napkin. She just laughed. A cold, sharp sound that cut through the warm air of the ballroom. "Oh dear," Mrs. Sterling said. Her voice was loud enough to turn heads 3 tables away. "It seems the trash is leaking." Maya stood frozen. Her hands were shaking at her sides. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear into the floorboards. She was 17 years old, and she knew right then that she had made a terrible mistake. She shouldn't be here. She wasn't one of them. She was the girl who lived in the 2-room apartment above the laundromat on 4th Street. She was the girl who taped her glasses when they broke because new frames cost too much. She looked around the room. The faces of the city's elite were all turned toward her. Men in tuxedos that cost more than her father made in a year. Women in diamonds that sparkled under the chandeliers. They weren't helping. They were smiling. Some were whispering behind their hands. Maya felt the tears pricking her eyes. She bit her lip until she tasted iron. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of them. Then she saw movement in her peripheral vision. A man was pushing a yellow mop bucket through the service doors. He was wearing a gray jumpsuit. It was faded at the knees. There was a ring of keys on his hip that jingled with every step. He wasn't looking at the guests. He was looking at the floor, scanning for spills, trying to be invisible. It was Sam, her father. He looked up. He saw the red stain. He saw the tears in his daughter's eyes. He saw Mrs. Sterling pointing a manicured finger at her. And for the first time in his life, Sam dropped his mop. The wooden handle hit the marble floor with a crack that silenced the room. He didn't care about the job. He didn't care about the rules. He started walking toward her, but Mrs. Sterling saw him coming. She turned her gaze from Maya to the man in the gray jumpsuit. "Well," she said, the volume of her voice rising, "look who it is. The rat has come to collect his garbage." The room went deadly silent. Sam stopped. He was 10 feet away. He looked at Mrs. Sterling. Then he looked at the man standing on the stage behind her. The host, Mr. Thorne, the billionaire who owned this building, the man who signed Sam's paychecks. Thorne was watching. His face was unreadable. Sam took a breath. He took one more step toward his daughter. And that was when Mrs. Sterling made the mistake that would cost her everything. She reached out, and she shoved Sam backwards. "Get back to the toilets," she spat, "before you smell up the room." Sam stumbled. Maya screamed, and the microphone on the stage suddenly screeched to life. To understand why Sam didn't hit her, you have to understand his hands. They were rough hands, calloused, scarred. The knuckles were swollen from years of scrubbing floors and wringing out mops, but they were gentle hands. Maya remembered those hands brushing her hair when her mother died. She was 6. She didn't understand why Mom wasn't coming home. Sam had sat on the edge of her bed. He still smelled like industrial cleaner and floor wax. He held her tiny hands in his rough ones. "It's just us now, baby girl," he had whispered. "But I promise you, I'm going to give you the world, even if I have to scrub every inch of it first." He meant it. He worked double shifts, sometimes triple. He fixed the boiler at the high school so Maya could get into the advanced placement program. He waxed the floors at the library on weekends, so the librarian would let Maya keep books past their due date. He traded his sleep for her future, and tonight was supposed to be the payoff. The gala wasn't just a party. It was the final interview for the Thorne Foundation scholarship. Full ride, 4 years, anywhere she wanted to go. Maya wanted MIT. She wanted to build rockets. She wanted to take her father away from the mop buckets and the gray jumpsuits. Sam had spent his entire savings on the ticket, $200. It took him 3 months to save it. He had surprised her with the fabric for the dress. He had found it at a discount outlet buried under a pile of curtains. "You look like a princess," he had told her tonight right before he clocked in for his shift. "You belong there, Maya. Don't let anyone tell you different." But standing in the ballroom with wine soaking into her skin, she knew he was wrong. She didn't belong. Mrs. Sterling was the head of the scholarship committee. She was the gatekeeper, and she was currently wiping her hand on a napkin, as if touching Sam's chest had contaminated her. "Do you have any idea how much this gown costs?" Mrs. Sterling asked. She wasn't talking to Sam, she was talking to the room, performing for her audience. "It's worth more than your life," she sneered at Sam. Sam straightened his back. He picked up his mop. "I'm sorry, ma'am," Sam said. His voice was steady, quiet. "I'll clean it up." He wasn't fighting back. He couldn't. If he lost this job, they lost the apartment. If he caused a scene, Maya lost the scholarship. He was swallowing his pride. Just like he had done every day for 20 years, he knelt down. He took a rag from his pocket and reached toward the floor near Mrs. Sterling's shoes. "Don't touch me," she shrieked. She kicked out. The sharp heel of her shoe caught Sam's hand. It wasn't a hard kick, but it broke the skin. A drop of blood welled up on Sam's knuckle. Maya moved. She didn't think. She didn't calculate. She stepped between her father and the woman. "Don't you dare," Maya said. Her voice shook, but she didn't back down. "Don't you dare touch him." Mrs. Sterling laughed again. "Oh, look. The little gutter rat has teeth." She turned to the security guard standing by the door. "Remove them," she ordered, "both of them, and check their pockets. I'm missing a diamond earring, and I think we all know where it went." The heir left the room. Accusing them of trespassing was one thing. Accusing them of theft was a death sentence. The security guard hesitated. He knew Sam. Sam made him coffee every morning. "Do your job," Mrs. Sterling yelled. Guard walked over. He looked apologetic. "Sam," he said softly, "I got a check." Sam stood up. He held his arms out. He let the guard pat him down in front of the doctors, in front of the lawyers, in front of the people Maya wanted to be like. Sam closed his eyes. He was humiliated, not for himself, but because his daughter was watching. He had promised her the world, and instead he had brought her here, to be treated like a criminal. The guard checked Sam's pockets. Nothing, just a set of keys. A wallet with $5 in it, and a picture of Maya. "He's clean," the guard said. Mrs. Sterling's face twisted. "Check the girl," she hissed. "No," Sam said. He stepped forward. "You checked me. You leave her alone." Mrs. Sterling stepped into Sam's space. She was shorter than him, but she held all the power. "You are a servant," she whispered. "You are nothing. And your daughter is nothing." She turned to the crowd. "This is why we need better screening," she announced. "We invite the charity cases in, and they think they own the place." She looked at Maya. "Get out, and don't bother applying for the scholarship. I'll make sure your application goes straight to the shredder." Maya felt a sob clawing its way up her throat. It was over. The dream, college, the future, all gone because of a wine stain. She grabbed her father's hand, the one that was bleeding. "Come on, Dad," she whispered. "Let's go." She turned toward the exit. She just wanted to leave. She wanted to run until her lungs burned. But they didn't make it to the door. A sound stopped them, a feedback squeal, piercing and high, then a voice, deep, calm, terrifying. "Nobody is leaving." It was Mr. Thorne. He was standing on the stage. He held the microphone in one hand, but he wasn't looking at the crowd. He was looking at Mrs. Sterling, and he looked furious. Mr. Thorne stepped down from the stage. He was 60 years old. He walked with a limp. He didn't use the stairs. He hopped down the 3-foot drop, landing heavily on his good leg. He walked through the crowd. The sea of tuxedos parted for him like the Red Sea. He didn't stop until he was standing next to Sam. He looked at the blood on Sam's hand. Then he looked at Mrs. Sterling. "Did you find your earring, Lydia?" Thorne asked. His voice was quiet, dangerous. Mrs. Sterling flustered. She touched her earlobe. "Well, no, Arthur. I'm sure one of them. It's in your shawl," Thorne said. He reached out. With 2 fingers, he plucked a diamond stud from the lace of her expensive wrap. It had been caught there the whole time. Mrs. Sterling's face went pale. "Oh," she said. Well, it was an honest mistake, was it?" Thorne asked. He held the diamond up to the light. "It looks like a mistake to me, but kicking my employee, that wasn't a mistake." He turned to the guard. "Pull the security footage from 3 minutes ago. I want to see exactly how that wine got on this young lady's dress." Mrs. Sterling took a step back. "Arthur, please, it's just a spilled drink. We don't need to make a scene." "You made the scene, Lydia," Thorne said. He turned to the crowd. "Does anyone know who this man is?" He pointed at Sam. Silence. Someone coughed. "He's the janitor," a man in the back shouted. Thorne smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Yes, he is the head of maintenance, but that's not who he is." Thorne put a hand on Sam's shoulder. 30 years ago, Thorne began. I was a young man, I was arrogant, I was stupid, and I was broke. I started this company in a garage. I had no investors, I had no friends, I worked 20 hours a day. One night, the garage caught fire, an electrical short. I was asleep in the back office. The smoke knocked me out before I even woke up. The crowd leaned in. They had never heard this story. I would have died, Thorne said, but a man was walking by. He was coming home from a night shift at a factory. He saw the smoke. He didn't call 911 and wait. He didn't keep walking. He kicked the door down. He crawled through the flames. He found me. He dragged me out. Thorne rolled up his sleeve. There was a massive burn scar running up his forearm. He burned his own hands, pulling the burning beam off my legs, Thorne said. He looked at Sam's hands. The crowd followed his gaze. Sam was looking at the floor. He hated this. He hated the attention. I offered him a reward, Thorne said. I offered him money. I offered him a share of the company. Do you know what he said? Thorne looked at Maya. He said he didn't want money. He said he just wanted a steady job, something with insurance, because his wife was pregnant. He pointed at Maya, with you. Maya looked at her father. He had never told her this. He took a job as a janitor, Thorne continued, because he wanted to be home for dinner every night. He didn't want to be a hero, he just wanted to be a father. Thorne turned back to Mrs. Sterling. She was trembling now. So when you call him trash, Thorne said, his voice rising, when you call him a rat, you are talking about the man who gave me my life. You are talking about the man who is the only reason this building, this company, and this gala even exist. Thorne took a step closer to her. And the irony, Lydia, the absolute irony is that while you were inheriting your money, Sam was earning his. And while you were buying diamonds to hang on your ears, Sam was buying books to put in his daughter's head. Thorne turned to the security guard. Escort Mrs. Sterling out. Mrs. Sterling gasped. You can't do that. I'm on the board. Not anymore, Thorne said. You're fired. Effective immediately. And Lydia. He waited until she looked him in the eye. Don't come back. The security guard stepped forward. This time he didn't look apologetic. He looked happy. This way, ma'am, he said. Mrs. Sterling looked around the room for support, but the faces that had been smiling at her 5 minutes ago were gone. People were looking at their shoes, looking at the ceiling. Nobody wanted to be on the wrong side of Arthur Thorne. She turned and walked out, her heels clicking on the marble, but there was no dignity in the sound this time. Just the hollow retreat of a bully who had lost. Thorne turned back to Sam. I'm sorry, Sam, he said. I should have stepped in sooner. Sam shook his head. It's okay, Mr. Thorne. I'm just glad she didn't hurt Maya. Thorne looked at Maya. He looked at the wine stain on her dress. I think we can fix that, he said. He waved his hand. An assistant appeared from the shadows. Take Miss Maya to the green room. Get her something from the backup wardrobe, something blue. I think blue is her color. Maya hesitated. She looked at her dad. Go on, Sam nodded. She went. When she came back 20 minutes later, she was wearing a silk gown. It was midnight blue. It fit perfectly. The room had changed. The tension was gone. People were coming up to Sam, shaking his hand, introducing themselves. Suddenly the gray jumpsuit wasn't invisible. It was a badge of honor. Thorne was waiting for her on the stage. He tapped the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, we have one more piece of business tonight, the scholarship. Maya's heart hammered. She stood next to her father. Mrs. Sterling made a decision before she left, Thorne said. She decided that Maya shouldn't apply. He paused. I have decided to overrule that decision. He opened an envelope. I have read Maya's application, Thorne said. I have seen her grades. I have seen her essay. Her essay wasn't about rockets or math or saving the world. It was about her father. Maya squeezed Sam's hand. He looked at her, surprised. She wrote that she wants to be an engineer so she can build machines that make hard labor easier. Thorne said, so people like her dad don't have to come home with swollen hands. Thorne's voice cracked. Just a little. That is the kind of mind we need. That is the kind of heart we need. He looked directly at Maya. Maya, come up here. She walked up the stairs. The spotlight blinded her, but she didn't feel small anymore. The Thorne Foundation scholarship goes to Maya, Thorne announced. But that's not all. He turned to Sam. Sam, come up here too. Sam walked up. He looked uncomfortable. I have been trying to pay this man back for 30 years, Thorne said. He refuses my checks. He refuses my gifts, but he can't refuse this. Thorne pulled a document from his pocket. This is the deed to the building on 4th Street, Thorne said. The one with the laundromat. I bought it this morning. He handed the paper to Sam. You don't just rent the apartment upstairs anymore, Sam. You own the building. You own the laundromat. You own the block. Sam stared at the paper. His hands were shaking. Mr. Thorne, I can't. You can, Thorne said, and you will. Consider it back pay for the overtime. The crowd erupted. Real applause this time, not polite clapping, but a roar. Maya threw her arms around her father. He buried his face in her shoulder. She felt his tears soaking into the expensive silk of the blue dress, but she didn't care. Let it stain. It was the best stain in the world. They drove home in Sam's old truck. The deed to the building sat on the dashboard. The scholarship letter was in Maya's lap. They didn't say much. They didn't need to. They pulled up to the laundromat. The neon sign was buzzing. The open light flickered. It looked the same as it always did, but everything was different. Sam turned off the engine. He looked at Maya. You looked beautiful tonight, he said. Maya smiled. You looked brave, Dad. Sam looked at his hands, the bandage on his knuckle. I just did what any father would do, he said. No, Maya said. She reached out and took his hand. She ran her thumb over the rough calluses. You did what only you could do. They got out of the truck. The air was cold. The city was loud. But as they walked up the stairs to their apartment, Maya didn't feel the cold. She felt warm. She realized something then. Mrs. Sterling had diamonds. Mr. Thorne had millions. But Maya, she had the man who would walk through fire for her. She had the man who would mop a floor on his knees so she could stand tall. And that made her the richest girl in the world. She unlocked the door. Sam turned on the lights. Home, he said. Maya looked at him. Yeah, she said. Home. She walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. They were bright. They were beautiful. And for the first time, they looked like they belonged to her. If this story touched your heart and you believe that true worth isn't found in a bank account, please subscribe to the channel. We share real stories of family, justice, and love every week. Hitting that like button helps us share these messages with the world.